30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Monday in Nashville, Tennessee. As you can tell, we are striking spare on Lebanon Pike and getting ready for the third annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night, which is going to be a lot of fun. For what it's worth, the schedule here today is this. From 3 to 5 p.m., there will be about 125 underprivileged kids through the Martha O'Brien Center and Cottage Cove who will be here. And I want to take a moment and thank my buddy Bob Lyons and the folks at Outdoor Lighting Perspectives, because they are the ones that have made this possible. When they arrive, and it'll be a big Rugrat Fest. Oh, it'll be wild. We'll feed them first, make sure they've got one of these priceless bowling shirts. Why are you not wearing one? Then they'll bowl, and then don't tell anybody. They'll get some Christmas presents. I'm pretty stoked about that. 6 to 8 p.m. will be shift number 1. Shift number 2 will be 8 to 10 p.m. And then somewhere around midnight, I will crash. Hello, Billy.
Much needed sleep you're going to be getting.
Oh, my God, yeah. But I know there's a lot going on. We're going to bag until later, Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. But there is a lot of news to get into. First of all, let's say hello to Kelly Holcomb in Murfreesboro. Kelly, within the next 24 to 36 hours, there will be a new open, I promise.
I've been hearing that for months, George, so I'm not holding my breath.
Oh, no, at no point did you ever hear it. See, that's the beauty of it. I never.
Well, maybe me not hearing it, maybe me just complaining about it. I've been complaining about it for months.
Yes, you have.
We're finally getting it. I don't know. What's he going to complain about
Well,
once we get the
when
open
he
right?
sees all the work that has gone into this and then says, screw the underprivileged kids. I want my open.
Well, here's my complaint of the day.
Okay.
Do I have to sit here and look at Billy as well? I mean, you guys are sitting together. Can we get him out of the picture?
Billy,
I can work on that.
Are you going to take that?
I can work on that for you, Kelly.
I don't know how comfortable I feel with Billy being in the picture right now.
We give you the red shirts. You wanted the red shirts. We give you the open. We give you the open.
I still hadn't got the open
what
yet.
else? What else?
Still not here.
What else do you
need,
It's
still
Kelly?
Not signed on the dotted line. Until it's signed on the dotted line, I do not believe anything.
Lighten up, Francis.
You need me to open the door for you.
By
when
the
you
way,
get here tonight.
This kind of behavior will eliminate you from consideration at middle. So I guess we need to let people know. Let's start with that.
Yep. Rick Stockstill has been relieved of his duties at MTSU. And George, how long was it that he was there?
Oh, I know
it was
it's double-digit years.
Yeah, 18.
How many?
18?
18.
Yeah. Let me say this. I don't know all of what has gone on behind the scenes here, and we're going to get into that with Kelly here in just a minute. But Coach Stockstill always treated me really well. I wish him the very best in his future endeavors, and know that, class act.
Oh, yeah.
Completely class act. This is not something anybody's rooting for. But Kelly, let's get to the particulars. Did the fight on Saturday lead to this at all?
Well, when you, I mean, Sam Houston last year, George Billy, was an FCS team, and then they came up to FBS. And they had won 2 games this year. Now they've got a really good coaching staff. I'm not saying anything about that because from people that I know that I trust, they Sam Houston's really well coached. They did a lot of good things in the FCS. I'm not sure they might have won a national championship a couple of years ago, but when they only won 2 games and Middle goes down there, they lose on a last second field goal attempt, which it would have tied the game and maybe got them into overtime. But then at the end of the game, those guys were hooping and hollering. I'm sure they were talking to the kicker because you could tell that he was upset on the field. And there were some guys that were jawing at him, and some guys came up from Middle, and you can understand the frustration. But you got to handle things a little bit better than that. They had an all-out brawl, George, and I would absolutely think, because I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on any of that stuff. From what I heard, there was a lot of grumblings about that after the game. They can't get anybody to the games, George, and they're not moving the meter. Me personally, I had them when they went to when they went Division I, George. I thought that they would be like a Boise, like a Louisville, and I mean, I understand that we're in the heart of SEC country right now, and Vanderbilt struggles with the same stuff that we're talking about here. But with as big as Murfreesboro is getting, and as many people as Murfreesboro has right now, you don't see anything. I tell people all the time, when I go down to Troy, this little town of Troy, there's posters, there's signs out on every restaurant that said game today at the vet, game today at the vet, come join us at the vet. You've got to market your program, and I don't see that happening, George, and it's really frustrating because I'm an MTSU alumni. Just like you're a Vandy alumni. I mean, I'm sure that upsets you guys, but it bothers me. And, I like Rick a lot. Hadn't really had many conversations with him, but, he's a good guy. But when you're there 18 years, he never won a conference championship. He was a co-champion at one point, but, I don't know, George. I just think that it was time for a change. And I certainly do think that probably helped lead that on a little bit, because when you look bad like that on TV and people start blasting you on Twitter and Instagram, you gotta do something. And I think the leadership stepped in and said, hey, we got to make a change.
Let me throw out a name that I think will be heavily in the mix here. And I'll also tell you that I'm biased because he's a good friend. And that's Buster Faulkner. Buster is the offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. This is so ironic because I texted a friend on Saturday and said, man, I really like the stuff Buster is running at Georgia Tech. And obviously I've got a past Georgia Tech background. And so I made a point to watch the game. The kid Haynes King seems to have really fit what Buster is trying to do. Anyway, Buster was once the offensive coordinator at Middle. I know it's a job he's interested in. He's from the Atlanta area. He served as an analyst for Kirby Smart for, I want to say, 3 or 4 years, and then got the OC job at Georgia Tech. Again, I'm biased, but I've got to believe he's heavily in this mix.
Oh, no doubt. And Kelly, I'm with you. Why not Middle? I mean, why can't Middle be that type of school? A Liberty, a Troy, South Alabama. I mean, they're in the mid-state still. I mean, right? What is it? About an hour? Sometimes it's 45 minutes to Nashville. Other times it's an hour and a half. With that drive. But why not Middle? So
don't you think a lot of it is University of Tennessee?
Yeah,
that the
but
Middle
fan Troy and South Alabama. I mean, you got Alabama and Auburn. I just think there's a path for Middle, and it's obviously a lot of respect for Stockstill, but I feel like the timing is good. You've got a chance here to get sort of ahead of the NIL portal era as much as you can. But I'm with Kelly. Why not and go make a home run hire?
Well, that's one of the things that they have got to bring up in the search is that they need, I'm not saying they need Bruce Pearl. No. I'm not going that far. But what I am saying is, Kelly, that next guy needs to get out early, kiss babies, shake hands, play in bowling events. you like
I always
that?
said that, George. I met when I got inducted to Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. James Franklin was there, and James Franklin was a coach at Vanderbilt. And good or bad, he moved the needle for those guys. And I've never been around a guy. The night before that we had our ceremony on Saturday, that Friday night we have a big dinner, and you meet and you converse with everybody. And I just watched him, and I have never met a guy that shook everybody's hand, whether it was male or female. He met everybody in that place, and his personality just kind of burst onto the scene. It was kind of unbelievable. And I think that's what you have to have. If you're a head coach, you have to be willing to do those kind of things, George. You have to be willing to do all the things that coaches really don't like doing, but you got to do it because you're the head of a program. Like you said, you got to go out, you got to shake hands, you got to kiss babies, and you can do it here at Middle. But we all know this. You can go out and you can do all that, but the product on the field has to win games. And, that's what I loved about my coach in college, Coach Donnelly. I mean, we were a small school at that time, but we won games. He got good charactered people. He got guys that were kind of undersized that might not. Now, we had some guys like Joe Campbell's and Mike Caldwell's and Jamie Redmonds and myself and other guys like that were able to go on and play. But he made a living off getting guys that were kind of nobody recruited them. They had a kind of a chip on their shoulder, and we had some really good football players at Middle. So it can be done at Middle. It's already been done, but you have to put a product out there on the field, and you have to start recruiting good kids, and you have to start recruiting these Murfreesboro kids. There's Murfreesboro kids that go all over the country now, but they're not going to Middle. And you just got to be able to recruit the mid-states. You got to be able to recruit in the state of Tennessee. I know that people go to MTSU. I used to see it all the time. They're alumni of MTSU. They're big money people, but they'd rather give their money to Tennessee and say, hey, I'm giving my money to Tennessee instead of giving their money to Middle. But with the people that you got in this town now and the projected, 2030, we're going to be really, really up there. So they talked about us overtaking Chattanooga at some point. So the resources are here. You just got to hire the right guy.
I think Kelly said it all.
Well, speaking of the right guy, the Aggies feel like they found the right guy for that job. Mike Elko, former Duke head coach, is now the head coach at Texas A&M, former A&M defensive coordinator who left there 2 years ago to take the Duke head coaching job. So I think that's a part that we can't dismiss. He was an assistant at A&M. But before this, Saturday night, I thought they had Mark Stoops. And all of a sudden, the Board of Regents basically denied it. Mark Stoops kind of said, all right, I'll pass on this too. I'll stay in Lexington. And after all that, late Saturday night, you finally get Mike Elko yesterday.
Yeah, Kelly, it's got a little Shiano kind of feel to it. I can see where Mark Stoops would have wanted to see, hey, can my stuff work at the highest level?
After just complaining about, the
NIL. And as for A&M, they need to be careful because Stoops, pretty damn good football coach.
Oh, yeah.
They could have done a lot worse than him. Elko, been a head coach for 2 years. I hope it's the right hire because those people will be on his butt if it isn't.
Yeah.
Kelly?
Yeah, I heard the other day that the Elko guy was going to get the job. Mark Stoops, George, it depends on what your goals are. Like I tell people all the time, the University of Kentucky has got money, and it's a basketball school. We know that. He's turned that program around. They're a lot better than they used to be. They used to be, not Vanderbilt, but they used to be a little bit above Vanderbilt, and he's gotten that program. He's got that program off the ground, and he's kind of making headways. Now, I don't know. We all talk about this all the time. He's probably taking it as far as he can take it, but what are his goals? I mean, is he trying to make a living? Is he just wanting to stay in the SEC, or does he want to go to a place where he can win a national championship? Because in Kentucky, if you win 9 games, if you win 8 games, everybody loves you. And he's making a lot of money. So, I mean, it depends on what your goals are.
Next one was Jeff Lebby over at Mississippi State. He comes over from Oklahoma as their offensive coordinator. He's been the OC at Oklahoma, Ole Miss, UCF. Josh Heupel type of hire. Now, he hasn't been a head coach, but after what Mississippi State fans saw this year on offense, worst in the conference, I think that'll immediately change. He's got to get a quarterback, but this is an exciting hire.
The AD had Oklahoma ties. I wonder if Dan Mullen was ever a serious contender.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Also, George, we got a lot of other moves. Danny Holgerson was fired at Houston. You had some other moves. I think I think it'll be interesting. Jeff Traylor from UTSA is a guy. Also, Jamie Chadwell, Indiana, has fired Tom Allen. So every year there's so much movement. But we'll have to see what happens around the coaching front. Also, the Panthers fired Mike Reich after just 11 games,
which is absurd. What did they expect?
Yeah, I don't know. David Tepper apparently was pissed after the game yesterday.
Yeah,
I guess they might have thought this was kind of their last chance to get one of their last chances to get a win. But I'm with you, George. I don't really know what they expected.
Kelly, I don't think that Frank Reich is a bad football coach, although I'll use the tasteless joke that if he ever gets fired again, it'll be the third Reich. Thank you.
We've heard that before.
Did they name an interim?
The interim, let's see, offensive coordinator. Okay, Chris Tabor, the special teams coach, will be the interim. Thomas Brown will do the play calling duties. So
good luck.
I think that's the biggest thing they were upset about, Kelly, the play calling. I don't know if you looked much into it on Sunday, but some of those Panthers play calls were pretty interesting.
Well, they're kind of in the same boat as the Titans, guys. They can't block anybody. So if you can't block anybody and you got a rookie quarterback, you better get the ball out of his hand instead of holding it. I thought I was pretty impressed with the defensive side of the ball. Those guys hustled to the football. They played well. So they've got some ability, but offensive line-wise, they are just not there. It's kind of like what the Titans are going through right now. They can't run. They can't protect Bryce Young. So if you can't do that, you better get the ball out of his hand and throw some quick screens, throw some quick game, and maybe a little bit of play action, but like some RPOs and stuff like that. But, yeah, they were – I don't know, man. He just they looked like they were trying to throw the ball down the field, and he didn't have time to do that.
Real quick, George, I know we got to get to the break. The Sonny Gray sweepstakes. That we thought they were gonna go to the Braves, but the Cardinals have agreed to a deal with Sonny Gray.
Put me on camera.
You are on camera.
Sonny,
you're
killing me. So here's what it looks like. Cardinals went 3 years, $75 million. Good for Sonny.
Yeah.
My guess is the Braves were willing to go 2 and 40. I doubt they were willing to go 3, and I don't think they were going over 20. What I'm asking myself, has Sonny ever won a ring?
That's a good question.
No.
I want to say.
Don't think so.
I don't think he has. David Price is the guy that you're probably thinking of there. But yeah. I think the Cardinals are loaded too. Braves are loaded. The pitching staff.
The Cardinals aren't anywhere near the Braves.
Cardinals have a good staff, George.
Really? Did you watch them this year?
They've revamped it.
Well, they've made some moves to improve.
They've got Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson now.
Lance Lynn's a gopher ball machine.
He's been pitching well.
Billy's taking on water, George.
He is.
Kelly, what do you think? Good Cardinals have a good pitching staff?
I'd have to study that, man. I'm not into it like y'all are.
I just know that
they weren't very good this year. I do know that. They were not very good, and I'm with George. Did you watch them play, Billy? Because I watched a couple of innings, and they sucked.
I went to a couple of – first of all, it's a great baseball city. That's one thing that Sonny is getting out of this. Yeah. He's getting a great baseball town, and he's getting one where if he delivers, he will be the hero. If he doesn't,
well, in that playoff game, last one with Minnesota, he did not deliver. So.
Yeah, that's a one-shot deal.
Yeah, it was a big game. We'll see. I am happy for him, though.
Shall we now go to a break?
Let's do it.
Okay. After the break, Watson Brown will join us. I don't think there's anything earth-shattering that's going to come out of this other than to say this. The Titans found a team they can beat, and we'll talk about it when we come back.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. We're back on what is a big day for us. By the time you see this show, we'll have about 125 Rugrats in here for our underprivileged kids party from 3 to 5 p.m. before, quote, the main event, although I'm pretty fired up about those kids and what they're about to get for Christmas. With that in mind, it's time for Watson Brown's Titans analysis with a little assist from Kelly Holcomb, and it's brought to you by the folks at Pilkerton Realty. Watson, hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
George, I had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Thank you. And I agree. The big event tonight is this afternoon. That's fantastic.
Yeah, There'll be a buzz in here for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. Let's see what you're giving them. That'd be neat.
So let me start. I want to ask both of you this question. Did the Titans simply find someone they could beat, or were there some bright spots for the future that a fan ought to hold on to?
Oh, I didn't. I think maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I saw some good things out of their quarterback. I think Levis made some really nice throws, some really strong throws, some quick release throws. He did some good things. He's not what I see in him right now. He's a good quarterback, but he's not win a division quarterback yet. That's the way I would say it. I think he can become that, but I think right now I just put him in a good young quarterback spot at this point, and he just got to keep getting better. I think he will. When you see he gets a little bit of time, he can make the throws. I think he can make them all. I don't see anything he can't do throwing a football. He's maybe not as great of Dodger athletic as some of these young guys are, but he's good enough at that. But I think he's up in the top 20% mode of arm strength and quick release and pretty good fundamentals I see. And so I saw quarterback. That's what I saw. Nothing else excited me. The defensive line, when they're good, we're pretty good on defense. When the defensive line is so-so, then we're so-so on defense. But I'm not sure you can't say that about every defense in the country. But the defensive line is still the strength of the football team, in my opinion.
Kelly, what did you take out of it?
Well, it's kind of a ditto for me, what Coach just said. I think they probably found somebody they could beat. I was thinking yesterday, man, both those offensive lines for both teams are not very good. They got Derrick Henry going a little bit. I was quite shocked at how Carolina's defense. I thought Carolina's defense they've got guys on there that they hustle to the football. They can play, but when it boils down to it, George, you look at it, it's a 17-10 game. I mean, that's probably kind of what you expected from both those football teams. I don't understand the firing of Frank Reich. I think he's a really good football coach. I don't get that. I'm like you, George. What did they expect? But I thought Will Levis played well. I still just, I don't know if coaches like this, but it still like bothers me to watch his elbow sometimes, man. He's got to start working on getting that elbow up and throwing the ball down. But I'm sure hopefully they'll do that in the offseason. I actually said something to Couchy about it a couple of weeks ago. I was like, if you work with him in the offseason, tell him to get his elbow up. And he's like, yeah. Sometimes he struggles with kind of touch throws, as you can tell. But I mean, yesterday he played good. He didn't do anything to get put the ball in harm's way, I didn't think. And it's a development stage, man. He's a young guy. He's got to learn how to play the game. You like his intensity. I mean, he's clapping his hands. He gets upset. He gets those guys in there. That's what you have to be as a quarterback. You've got to get in there in that huddle, and they got to look in your eyes and say, hey, this is the guy that can do it for us, can take us where we want to go. So that remains to be seen, but I thought he played well yesterday.
Watson, let's take this a little farther. Kind of give me, not that he's asking for it, but, you didn't just fall off a turnip truck as far as being an offensive coach and a quarterback guru. Give me the things that you would be telling Will Levis if he picked up the phone and said, man, I hear you're the best. What do I need to do?
I think consistency. I think he still struggles with those firm touch throws that I call them. That throw right over a linebacker that's underneath a secondary guy. And it's the one going vertical, not the one coming across the line of scrimmage, not the deep squaring routes. He throws those pretty good. But those are window throws. Those aren't over somebody's head throws. I think those vertical throws that I see, those outside high-low triple level things where you've got to clear out in the deep out and a flat guy, he struggles with that still some. Kelly is got, in my opinion, he said it right. The point of his ball still goes up some. And there's only one thing that causes that. You've heard me say it 1,000 times for the last 3.5 years is your elbows underneath your hands, your elbows in, your hand is underneath the ball. The touch of the ball can't come down. It can't. It's impossible. Your elbows up, your hands on top of the ball, and now that's how the point comes down. So he's still got some things like that. A lot of the strong arm guys I've had took a while to teach them touch. And just that firm touch is not a floating ball. That's not what I'm talking about. Touch is that firm ball that points down and it comes right in that zone area that you've got to get it in over somebody's head and underneath another guy. And that's a very important throw in the college game today and the pro game of today. And the longer the arms are and athletic those linebackers are, the smaller window you got to get that ball in, George. And I do see him struggle with that. I still see him every once in a while being jumpy and feeling too much of what's around him and not just 1-2 throw. And I still see some of that, but I think that's just inexperience. I think that'll come. But he's got all the pieces. He doesn't avoid things as well as some of them do yet. He may get better at that. When I watch the guy with the Texans play, he is so good at that. And he can feel the heat without looking at the heat and slide here and jump out here when he needs to, or just move up in the pocket and eyes are still downfield and finds a window and lets it go. He's not great at that yet. I do think he's going to be – I still think what I've seen is I think he can be the answer, but I still judge him as a decent quarterback, good one right now, but not one to win the division. He's got a long way to be what the Titans need him to be. But I do think they've got one on hand now that can reach that goal.
Let me talk to both of you about what I watched yesterday. And I had two TVs going. I had the Titans on one, and over to the left was Jacksonville and Houston. And first of all, Jacksonville is reaching a point. They're way better than the name Jacksonville. All of us have kind of kept them down a little because how good can they be? It's Jacksonville. Well, Jacksonville's pretty damn good, and they've got a great quarterback. And in Calvin Ridley, man, they have added a weapon that is huge. Houston, C.J. Stroud, what a stud. No, there are a couple of throws he'd like to have back. You know, they didn't win the game. But, Kelly, here's where I'm going with this. I think the gap between us and them is wider than I've wanted to admit. It's huge.
Yeah, I think it's pretty substantial now, George. I really do. I was watching that game a little bit, and Trevor Lawrence has gotten I don't know if he was going anywhere with that last coaching staff when Doug Peterson took over and Marcus, we've had him on the show. Marcus talked about how like there was a dark cloud over that organization. And when Doug Peterson came in and kind of got the reins, he had to build those guys back up. And he's done that with Trevor Lawrence. So we all know Trevor Lawrence was, a Elite 11 guy coming out, went to Clemson. He won a couple of national championships there. Played really well. Then when he went to Jacksonville, he's a rookie, didn't play well, had a coaching staff that didn't know how to nurture him, probably didn't understand him. But then when Doug Peterson comes in there, man, he's done really well. He's gotten a grasp of that system. He's throwing the ball on time. He can make things happen with his legs. So, George, you said it. Jacksonville has gotten really good. They got my former college teammate as their defense coordinator, Mike Caldwell. He's not scared to bring pressure. He looks like he understands what's going on. And you said Calvin Ridley, man, what a stud that guy is. Just a stud at Alabama. Now, the other day he was talking about rebuilding his reputation. He's a really good football player. And then you look at Houston, what DeMeco Ryans has done down there. It's kind of miraculous. C.J. Stroud, a really good football player, and like Coach was just talking about, it's kind of odd to me because you would think like just watching Will Levis in college, you think he would be a little bit better with that about in the pocket. Just sometimes like that's what made Tom Brady so good. That's what made Peyton like when guys rush you, you want to stay in that pocket. That's what your tackles are thinking. You're going to stay in the pocket. So a lot of times when guys rush, all you got to do is sidestep them, move a little bit, and deliver the football. And that's what playing quarterback's about. But you got so many young guys now that are not getting taught anything when they feel pressure, and it might not even be pressure. I was watching the college game. I forget who it was the other day, but all the guy had to do was step to the left 2 steps and then throw the ball. But he runs out to the right, and then the defensive end and the linebacker absolutely kill him. So you've got to learn that as a quarterback. But you got – and then Anthony Richardson, it's too bad that he got hurt. But you got 3 – he was playing pretty good. You got 3 really good quarterbacks in this division, and now Will Levis. So you got 4 young guys that are going to be in this division, and 2 of them are playing really well. We got to see what Will Levis does. Obviously, Anthony Richardson's hurt, but this division has gotten better like overnight.
Watson, take it and go with it.
George, I've always said, if you want to, you can have a good team, poor team, good team. But if you want a championship team, you want to win your division, you want to win the SEC, whatever. If you're going to have a championship team, you've got to have a base that you build up to. And then you've got to have 3 major playmakers on offense, 3 major playmakers on defense, and a great punter and a kicker. Now you got a shot. And I think right now, if you look at Jacksonville, and they've got those pieces. They've got 3 major playmakers on offense right now, a quarterback, a tailback, and a wide receiver. And if you're missing one of those 3, you're not there yet. Titans don't have that, in my personal opinion. They're not near there yet. Houston's close, but that's why I think Jacksonville is ahead right now. They've got the base put together, meaning good, solid everywhere with solid depth, but major playmakers, 3 of them on offense, 3 of them on defense, and a punter and a kicker. And I think that's where Jacksonville right now is ahead of everybody else in the division.
Let me ask this question. We know that the Titans have huge offensive line issues. We know they've got a lack of playmakers. Kelly, I'll start with you on this. A year from now, can this team be considerably better?
I think you can be better. I mean, I think you can look at free agency now. It's just like the transfer portal in college. I think you can overhaul a roster. It's a little bit harder to do now in the pros than it is in college because you got to have cap space. But yeah, you can do some things. I don't know, George. They got a lot of areas that they've got to clean up. I mean, they got Skoronski this past year in the draft. They just got to have some more offensive linemen, George. And you're right. They've got to have some more playmakers. Now, they brought in DeAndre Hopkins, which is it just for a year, Billy? Is that what they got him for?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, just for a year. So you don't know what's going to happen with that. Is he going to come back? Or are they going to have to pay him again? I don't know. I'm not sure, George. I really don't. That's a hard question, and I don't know if you can. I've seen it happen. But it just seems like they've got too many holes on both sides of the ball. And just what Coach said, like if the defensive line plays good, their defense, which that's everybody in the league, but like if their defensive line does not play good and they cannot get pressure on the passer, man, their secondary is not very good. They got rid of Kevin Byard, who went to a Super Bowl contender in Philadelphia. He was one of the better players on their team. So it can be done, George. I just don't know if they got too many issues that they've got to feel that they can get that done in a year.
Watson, take it and run with it.
I don't even think they got the base there. What I said a minute ago is the way I truly believe as a head coach you have to have. You got to have the base in place, a solid football team with a base, not weak anywhere, just solid. And then you got to have those major dudes to go with the base. I don't think they got the base right now. I don't think the secondary has a base whatsoever. I don't think the offensive line has a base whatsoever where they can say, we're solid right here. We may not be great, but we're solid. And they can't say that. And that's where Jacksonville has totally passed them. And I'm not sure Houston and the Colts may have. We'll see, because they got to play them both Houston and the Colts at home, and they still got to go to Houston. So we'll see how they match up with that. And they do not have the playmakers yet. They do not have a playmaker at quarterback just yet. He may become that. So I'm a little bit more pessimistic that it can be fixed in a year, because the base takes a while. Sometimes you can get the great playmakers quicker than you can fix the base. So I just think they got a long way to go, and there's so many issues that they got to take care of. And I call Hopkins a playmaker? Maybe. Maybe I'd put him there. He's all we got. But I think we need to do better than that. I think we need a really bona fide fast guy that they're just scared to death of out there. And I don't think we've got that yet either. So, and then what are they going to do with Derrick Henry? Are they going to keep him and keep a playmaker there? Or are they going to let him go? Is it going to cost too much to keep? Is Spears good enough to be that guy? I don't know. I just think they got a long, long way to go. And I think they're a long way from Jacksonville. They might beat them when they bring them here. I don't know. But overall, they're just not close to Jacksonville right now.
Okay. I think you all have sort of laid it out there the way it really is, which is what we try to do with this segment. Normally, it's more X's and O's, but I wanted to get your thoughts about the Jimmies and Joes, because I watched Jacksonville and Houston yesterday, and I just came away saying the Titans aren't even close. And it's scary to me how wide the gap is at this moment. Watson, I'll see you in, I don't know, a matter of hours.
See you in a few hours, buddy.
Yes, you'll look good in a red shirt.
It's red this year. You changed colors on us. You left the blue and gold, huh?
Yeah. Why don't you ask Kelly why that is?
Kelly, why is that?
Well, because I complained so much, because that shirt that he had, that puke yellow shirt that he had, and he's trying to go off the Predators. I get it.
Nice attitude.
It wasn't doing anything for anybody. So I just complained so much. He got tired of hearing me. Now he says it was somebody else, but I first brought the complaint to the table.
For the record, Watson, it was Tess Kutras who said change colors.
Which you will listen to her.
Right, and I'll tell you why. Because
you will listen to her. You won't listen to Kelly, but
no,
you
hell
listen
no.
to her.
She's a damn good cook, and I will sponge a free meal occasionally. But
she must have hit you over the Christmas holidays for that one.
I want Kelly to know that the pressure he applied did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Which means Kelly, which means it did mean something for him to say that. So.
Exactly. I know that. I know how psychology works, Coach. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, buddy. You got
Guys,
it.
I'm looking forward to both of you being here tonight. Kelly, don't act jealous when you're around Watson. Just because he's got an open and you don't.
I'm not jealous. I just, I got to get on the computer with his password. I got to use all his stuff. I still see him in the opening. It's no big deal.
You know what, Watson? It just dawned on me. You're in his head.
Well, Tony makes it worse coming on here saying he misses Watson.
Well, you're right. That does happen.
That doesn't help.
That does happen.
Oh, so we do have people coming on again now. Huh?
Well, Tony still comes on Tuesdays.
Oh, you're talking about
Tony Basilio.
Tony in Knoxville.
No. Yeah.
Oh, as he says, my second dad. I said, no, your second brother maybe, but not dad, for God's sake.
Granddad.
Granddad. Yeah, he calls me granddad. I go, geez.
Okay, both of you, get over your bitterness. Be civil to each other tonight. I'm thrilled to have both of you as a part of this, and it's going to go great. Thank you both.
And thank you, George, for doing this, man. It means so much around the city. And you'll see it this afternoon with those kids' faces, man. You'll see it.
You're exactly right. Watson, thank you.
All right. See you tonight.
Kelly, hang with us. We'll yap a little more pro football when we come back.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Elko Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Elko and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to ElkoFineWoodFloors.com. Elko Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Might have been the best pro football game of the year yesterday afternoon. Buffalo at Philly. Philly won it in overtime. It was either 34-31 or 37-34. They won by 3. But I came away with this question. I'm going to throw it at Kelly first. There's a real shot Philly's going to go in as the 1 seed and get a first-round bye. But Kelly, is the gap between them and the other 3 or 4 not getting closer?
I think it is getting a little closer. Of course, Buffalo's a really good football team, and they went through a spurt, and offensive coordinator got fired for it. They played really well the last 2 games that he's been in charge of the offense. If they're at the end of the game, if Josh Allen and the Gabe Davis kid hook up for that game-winning touchdown, which it probably should have been, they win that game and they beat Philly. So Philly's really good, though, George. You sit over there on the sideline and you watch, not me on the sideline, but watch Jalen Hurts on the sideline. That guy he's unflappable. He never gets too high, never gets too low. His face never changes. I knew there at the end of the game on that last play, I'm like, he's about to run the ball in. That's what they were going to do. They didn't want to have to throw it anymore. And he's got an offensive line, whereas the Titans are as bad as they are. The Philadelphia Eagles are as good as they are. They've got one, if not the best, all O-line in the National Football League. They can move people. They've got a totally indefensible play, which I know that you cannot stand in the tush push. But I don't know, George. There's going to be like last year. They even talked about it on the broadcast last night. Like last year, Philadelphia was kind of, in NFL terms, they were blowing people out. And this year, they're still winning games, but it's not as convincing as they were last year. Now, they kind of surprised everybody last year, I think, because I don't think people realized how good they were. This year, they're not going to surprise anybody. But they showed a stat last night that I think Jalen Hurts has won his last 14 games against teams that have winning records, and that's an NFL record. That's pretty legit, George. And obviously he's not doing it by himself, but when you got the likes of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, the DeAndre Swift kid's playing really well now too. When they get the Dallas Goedert kid back, who's a tight end, I mean, he's kind of one of those guys for Jalen Hurts as Travis Kelce is to Patrick Mahomes. So they've got a really good football team. Defensively, they're really good. They got 2 middle guys starting at safeties. They can get pressure. I know Fletcher Cox got hurt last year, but they can get pressure on the passer. They've got an all-around team, just like Coach talked about. I mean, you look at their punter and you look at their kicker. Their kicker kicked the 59-yard field goal last night. And my wife is like, is he going to make it? And I'm like, he's a National Football League kicker. They're going to miss some, but more than likely not. And that thing looked like it could have gone for 70. So they're still really good, George. I think that you've got to put them at the top echelon of the NFC, but I don't know if it was as convincing as it was last year, but they're still winning games.
Yeah, Jake Elliott, by the way, what a stud. The 59-yarder. I mean, Kelly's right. The thing hit the back wall.
Yeah, he got it perfect. Angled it left to right. It didn't get up very high up on over the crossbar, but he kind of nailed it on a line a little bit.
And this is in weather. It's one thing to do it when it's 88 degrees in September.
Yeah.
It's another in that slop they played in yesterday. So, okay, since Kelly brought it up, let me ask both of you this. Do you want the tush push to stay in football?
I know Kelly hates it, and we've heard that. But if for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, they have the pieces, the players to do it. That doesn't mean other teams can't find those pieces and do the same thing. I mean, I don't get why. I get people are up in arms because it's that kind of that not cheating, but almost like, okay, this is just stupid. This shouldn't be in football. But at the same time, other teams can find a guy like a Hurts. I know Hurts is rare.
Oh,
but
hold on a second. This guy bench presses like about 1,900 pounds.
Well, the Eagles drafted him. They got him. That's his skill set.
You're right.
I don't get the outrage.
Okay. Kelly, where are you on it?
I'm not a huge fan on it, but it's simple. It's simply for the fact that I could not do it. So that's where I get mad. Just like Billy said, though, there's other teams that's tried it, but they're not as good as Philly. And people are talking. Philly's like, don't be mad at us because we can do it. But I tell you this, I would rather keep it in the game and do away with all these dadgum penalties. I'm so sick of the penalties watching a football game. There's so many penalties during a football game. We get all these ticky-tack penalties. You can't have a pass, but then last night when you're watching the LA Chargers and Justin Herbert goes out of bounds, he's out of bounds 2 yards and the dude hits him and nobody calls a flag. Like, they're trying to protect quarterbacks, and he's one of the young elite quarterbacks of the league. Like, there's no consistency. Like, they're just calling penalties, and then you get a situation like that I could have seen, and they don't call a penalty. So I don't know. I'm sick of the penalties, George. I really am. I'm sick of the pass interference calls. I'm sick of the ticky-tack stuff. If they can do away with that, I can live with the tush push.
Well, you talk about the product, and the penalties are a huge part of that, Kelly. College football right now is so much more appealing than the NFL. I mean, it's not even close.
We have late breaking word. Prior to the pass, illegal contact, 22. This is on 3rd and 28. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And I feel like there's a new penalty every game.
Oh, it's unreal.
They invent new penalties.
It is unreal.
I mean, on Black Friday, I wouldn't even think about tuning in that Dolphins-Jets game. It was college all day.
The Jets didn't either.
No, they didn't.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and then we'll get into a wild end of the college football. I guess you'd call it regular season.
Yeah.
Is Saturday considered postseason?
Well, you've still got Army Navy, but
the classic.
Yeah.
Have fun, expect a run. Stay tuned. We're coming back. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in a car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
On Monday, November the 27th, I'll be playing host to the 3rd annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night here at the Strike and Spare on Lebanon Pike. Here's where I need your help. We have 64 foursomes that will play with 64 sports celebrities. We've done a good job in getting the foursomes, and now I need some of you as single players to sign up and get involved. The cost is $200. The proceeds will benefit the Last Minute Toy Store and the Martha O'Brien Center. And what I promise you that night is great bowling, maybe not, great food, a ton of fun, and in fact, I'll make this claim: more fun than any charity sports event you have ever been involved in. To get involved, simply email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Let me know whether you want to be in the 6 to 8 p.m. shift or the 8 to 10, and get ready for a night of bowling and fun you'll never forget.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of
introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. It has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
Top of the hour on a Reaction Monday. Got a lot of football to react to. We broadcast live from the beautiful Strike and Spare out in Hermitage ahead of tonight's Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. So big night ahead, but first stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's get to today's stat of the day, see what Matthew's got cooked up. Bo Nix of Oregon finished the regular season with 3,906 passing yards. Who is the only Oregon quarterback to throw for more yards in a season?
Okay, before you answer this, Kelly, everybody will say Marcus Mariota, but there was a Joey Harrington.
Right.
Was there not Achilles Smith?
Correct. He was one of the top picks of the draft too, to Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I'm guessing they didn't throw it. Achilles Smith.
Is that who they named it after? Or no?
No. You're talking about like Achilles.
Achilles. Is that his name?
It's Achilles.
Achilles. Okay, I thought you said Achilles.
No.
Now, Billy? Are you trying to be funny, or you just don't know?
I didn't know. That's past my my age group there.
Get on the internet and Google it. How about it? Good gracious.
Relax.
What he's saying is, the sports world did not start 5 years ago.
Yeah, Billy, grow up, dude.
Yeah,
grow up.
Okay, you'll get a lot more.
Everybody wants to say Marcus Mariota. I'm kind of thinking it's one of those guys that you just said. To be honest with you,
it would be Joey Harrington.
That's who I'm thinking.
Let's go with it. Let's just see what happens.
Oh,
God.
Overthought it. The classic
overthinking. By the way, those pants are ugly.
Those are better uniforms than what they've been wearing this year, though. I don't get why
they put too much black in
gray, it's silver, whatever the heck they're wearing. I don't know.
Whatever the case. Do you know they have opened a 9-point favorite?
And I agree with
Washington.
I think the way Washington's played,
wow.
I don't dispute that.
So about the time, are we now officially into the 3 o'clock hour?
We are.
Okay.
Talk a little Iron Bowl.
Kelly, how did Auburn let that happen?
I do not understand that. That's unbelievable. But crazy things happen at Jordan-Hare when these two teams play, and it always seems like it doesn't matter. Like Auburn got beat by New Mexico State the week before. Now everybody says, well, they're looking ahead. Well, yeah, they're looking ahead, but it's New Mexico State. You're an SEC power. You're supposed to be one of the SEC powerhouses. You get beat by those guys, and then you come back and you play like you did. For some reason, George, like Alabama always there's been like a couple of years since Saban's been there that they haven't struggled with that game. And they've been beaten quite a few times. Gus Malzahn he made it a point of beating Alabama every year, it seemed like. So I don't understand how you get to that point. Everybody thought that when they got down there inside the 10-yard line, well, Alabama's going to score. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. And then they do one of the stupid things they did earlier in the year, and the center snaps the ball when the quarterback's not ready. But I've been in a game like that in a high school game where it's the last play of the game and they're at midfield. Alabama wasn't at midfield, but still at a D1 program when it's fourth and goal and you're like at the 30-something yard line, you can't like the kid got lost. I don't understand how you get lost. Good job by Jalen Milroe of finding who the one-on-one matchup was, and he's got one of his better guys with Isaiah Bond going up and catching that ball. But that was kind of inexcusable. Like, you can't, as a DB, you have to find the football. You know that the goal line, the back of the goal line is right there, so he can't go anywhere. Like, why not turn back to the ball? And that was just that was a bad football play, but. You never know what's going to happen when Auburn and Alabama play, George. You really don't.
Think about 3 wins that Alabama has had at Jordan-Hare. When Greg McElroy was a senior, they had to rally on the final drive of the game to win 26-21. 2 years ago, Auburn unloaded the kitchen sink on Bryce Young, sacked him about 49 times.
Yep.
Alabama, final drive of the game, they win.
Yep.
This year, this thing that happened, and I shake my head. Is this superior coaching on Nick Saban's part, or is this simply Auburn meltdowns or Auburn's unbelief that they can do this? What is it?
Well, at the end of the game, Nick Saban, when they were interviewing him, he said, believe it or not, we work on this. And there's a lot of teams that do work on that stuff. Like, he's a situational coach. You look at Bill Belichick, calling the guys up, and he would put them through situations, and he would ask guys, what do we do? Like, you have to do that. You have to practice that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that Auburn has practiced it, but, like, they didn't take what they practiced to the field. And that's where I get, I know that the DB feels really bad about what happened, but, like, you have to use the boundaries of the field to be another defender for you. And when you've got the guy backed up all the way to the pylon, he can't go anywhere else. Like, why are you still watching him to see where he's going to go? Like, the quarterback is so far back that you can't throw a bullet in there like 100 miles per hour. Now, Jalen Milroe's got an arm, but still, you can't get that ball in those tight windows on the goal line like that. And like I said, you got to give Jalen Milroe, you got to give him kudos because he found the one-on-one matchup. Now, this is where I'm going to go with this, George, because I told somebody the other day, if I was a head coach and you rush 3 or you rush 2 guys, I'm going to fire you on the spot. I don't understand why in a situation like that you allow the quarterback to have enough time to throw. That's where the problems start. If he's able to throw the ball, it's a 50-50 ball. He's got a chance to complete it. But if you bring pressure on him and you get to him, he doesn't have that kind of time to wait on guys to get down the field like that. So I don't understand the defensive coordinator's calls on these Hail Marys. Why give a quarterback an opportunity to throw the ball when if he's on his back, he doesn't have time to throw the ball? And everybody says, well, if you only have like a couple of DBs back, they can't defend everybody. Well, if the quarterback's on his back, he can't throw it. So that's where I think all these defensive coordinators, it really bothers me. I've been in so many games like that. I told you a couple of months ago, like we were playing the Chicago Bears, and we were up 21-7 when I was with the Browns. There was 59 seconds left to go in the game. They score. They get the onside kick. They get it down a couple of plays. They throw a Hail Mary because we rushed 2 or 3 guys. He's allowed to step up in the pocket, move around, buy himself some time so the guys can get down the field. And they beat us with 59. They scored two touchdowns in 59 seconds of the game. And then when it goes into overtime, they beat us on the first play because there was a pick thrown for a touchdown. So I don't understand defensive coordinators. It has as much to do with them as it does the kid. But you got to go over situational football, and they weren't prepared for that.
Michigan won the game of the year, but not by much. 30-24 was the final. Kelly, it feels to me like Ohio State is a playoff team, but because we've got so many ahead of them that are undefeated, they're going to be left out.
No, it's going to be, they are going to be left out. It's kind of amazing. And you were right, George. I never would have thought it. Ohio State's traditionally good every year. Michigan, the last 3 years have been really good. So this was a game that Ohio State used to win all the time against Michigan. And for 10 years with Jim Tressel and with Urban Meyer, and for the decade that they beat those guys, I mean, they just pummeled those guys. And now it looks like Michigan is on the same ground, and they've kind of surpassed them. And I'll be honest, George, I've never been sold on Ohio State's quarterback. I know, he's at Ohio State, but he's definitely not a C.J. Stroud. We know that. We get that. He's a young guy. This is his first year starting. But he made some mistakes in that game there at the end of the game that cost them. Now I know that they're trying to get down there. They've got to get down there where they can do something. But he had 2 turnovers in that game, and it turned out that was the deciding factor in the game. So Michigan's obviously you had them picked. You said they were better than Ohio State. I didn't want to believe that, but it seems to me like they are, and they got a really good young quarterback who started as a true freshman, and he's got experience in big games. He played well defensively. They're really good. So I think you're right, George. I think that they're going to be left out. I think people with all the stuff, and I'm sure the committee with all the stuff that's going on with Michigan was hoping that Ohio State would beat Michigan so they could just throw them out and wouldn't have to deal with that. But now they're going to have to contend with Michigan, and they're pretty good.
2 things after it was over. Number one, it came out that Harbaugh did not go to the stadium. He was at home watching it. I do wonder if Connor Stallions was there. I mean, is that not a fair question?
Oh man,
I'm sure he wasn't though. He's probably in the basement somewhere trying to hide.
There were some good memes on the internet of the Step Brothers meme of them sitting in front of the TV watching. That was Connor Stallions and Jim Harbaugh.
Can you imagine? And then the other one that I have heard, McCord went to the same high school that Marvin Harrison did.
Yes, he did.
He did.
And Kelly,
package deal.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Probably.
Harrison got there first, and I think he's told McCord, "Hey, come over here with me."
Okay, here's all I would say, and it's early. Is McCord really Ohio State level?
He's
right
young.
now.
He's young.
Barely, but it's early.
It's early. I think maybe they try to attack the portal. I think they've got the Devin Brown kid behind him, but McCord beat him out. I'm with Kelly though. I mean, it's hard to say a quarterback lost a game, but it's also hard to debate that McCord's 2 mistakes lost Ohio State that game early there in the first quarter, and then late. The one late, of course, they were in a hurry. I don't think that was as impactful as the first one. That first one I thought was a killer. They got them down in a hole. And so it's just hard to recover from that. So, but J.J. McCarthy on the other side, he didn't make any mistakes. He just, did what he had to do.
He's a cool kid.
Yeah, they didn't win because of what McCarthy did. They won because of what he didn't do. He didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
You can't turn the ball over if you're a quarterback in these rivalry games. And I'm with Kelly. McCord's got to be better. I don't know yet, George. I think it's up in the air. I just didn't see enough of him. You saw him go out and win the Notre Dame game. It's like he couldn't go do it again there against Michigan.
Kelly,
they'll be looking for somebody else. That's for sure. Next year, they'll be looking for somebody else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Kelly, let me announce the Heisman Trophy winner.
It's Bo Nix.
You're damn right it is.
So you're saying give it to him now. He doesn't have to beat Washington.
No, that I'm not saying that, because I think it's a really close call between Bo Nix and Penix, and I hear that that Jaden Daniels is in there and he'll be somewhere in this. But I never thought I would believe this about Bo Nix.
What a story.
Because the Auburn Bo Nix was not to this level. This kid's your Heisman winner this year.
Yeah,
Book it.
I agree.
I totally agree, George. I when he was at Auburn, man, I used to not watch. I used to not like watching him play football. He takes off running, but man, that guy he's obviously went to the table. He's worked, got in the weight room, gotten stronger, understands defenses. He can throw the football now. I mean, he's he's throwing bullets and he's throwing them accurately. He's played really well. And I will say this, I would rather see Jaden Daniels win it than the Michael Penix kid. Because what Jaden Daniels has done to LSU, I mean, I know that he's lost 2 games this year, but I think he's accounted for don't he have like 40 touchdowns passing or even more than that? And how many does he have rushing? But like he's had a phenomenal year, and nobody's talking about him because he's lost a couple of games. I think you're right. I think it's Bo Nix, and then I think Jaden Daniels is a close second. I really do, George.
Okay. On to the Tennessee Vanderbilt game. And let's say up front, Tennessee, who knows what level of disinterest they had coming into it. They knew that Vanderbilt was bringing a musket into a fight that needed a gun. So there was no surprise that Tennessee was the better team. Vandy, I thought, played about as well as they're capable of playing. The stupidity of an SEC officiating crew, to me, was the story of that game. A fight broke out late in the first half simply because the officials allowed A.J. Swan to get knocked all to hell on a play that had been blown, where the whistle had been blown, no play, and the officials just stand there.
Yeah.
So good for Clark Lee that he showed enough fire to get in there and defend his kids. But the stupidity level of that officiating crew. Now, don't get me wrong, the bottom half of the officiating crews in that league are not very good. Greg Sankey ought to be embarrassed. Somebody ought to show him a tape of that and say, is this because it means more?
Well, I think a lot of it is it's the Tennessee Vanderbilt game, like you said. I mean, no one cared about this game. I mean, in Knoxville, I know they had a good crowd, but in reality, there was not a ton of buzz for this game.
No.
So the SEC says, all right, we could care less who we send out there.
We'll bring you our D squad.
Right.
And
that's what you get.
Well,
you get a hit on Swan like that, and then in the next play it happened again where a Tennessee player was stepping all over him and nothing really happened. And finally, Will Shepherd got into it with a Tennessee player, and Vanderbilt showed some emotion for once this season.
Yeah.
I think that kind of got the Tennessee crowd into it and brought some eyes onto the game because people were talking about it on social media. But yeah, at the end of the day, the refs started all of that.
Their stupidity is what caused that fight. Yeah. Kelly, did you see it?
I did not. I just heard about it. I've seen some things afterwards, but it's like what we were talking about earlier, George. They have too many penalties in the NFL. It's ridiculous. You can't touch anybody. And then with me going to watch these Troy games, you never get any pass. Like they can mug a guy, and you never get any pass interference calls. You touch a guy in the NFL, you're getting a flag. There's no consistency whatsoever. But I don't like I like what you're saying, George. But I don't like it. Doesn't matter if it's Tennessee Vandy. It doesn't matter. Like you should have the best referees, and they all need to be trained. Now we're all not the same person, and we all see it differently. But they should all be trained the same, and it shouldn't matter if it's the first place teams playing or if it's the last place teams playing. They deserve competent people that's refereeing the game. So. It kind of the same thing. Well, the same thing happened at the middle game, but it was after the game. The refs didn't have anything to do with that. But there's just like I just seen so much discrepancy in college officiating. Like you can mug a kid and they don't call it, and then they call some of the stupidest penalties ever. So there's no consistency with that. But I just think it doesn't matter what game it is. You need to put the best guys out there officiating it.
So, pardon the interruption there. Good plug for Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. I am appalled that the lack of common sense that officiating crew showed Saturday, because their
no
stupidity,
ejections after that either.
No,
after
well,
all that,
I mean, they knew that their stupidity led to all of that.
Yeah,
they had to know it.
That was bad.
I'll say this: if I'm a head coach, I get thrown out of that game.
I'm surprised Clark didn't.
Oh,
I couldn't believe he didn't get thrown out.
I would have tried to have gotten thrown out. Anyway, I know we need to go to a break, and then when we come back, we'll get Kelly's take on where all these teams are when they do the poll tomorrow, and then I'll have my version of studs and duds. And then Terry McCormick's going to join us as we get you the Daily Titans update a little bit late. Stay with us.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
We are back. Let's take a look at Kelly's top 8 in this case. And Kelly, why don't you just sort of run us through it with a little commentary?
Well, I think the first four are pretty, they're all undefeated. So Georgia, I've said it all along, like until Georgia gets beat, I'm not taking them out of that. Now, Michigan looked impressive the other day. They looked really good. But they did the same thing last year and got beat by TCU in the semifinals. So they've got to get over that gap. The University of Washington, I know that they're coming in as an underdog to Oregon, but until they get beat, they've got to go up. I think Oregon will beat them, though. I don't think they're playing really well right now. So I think Oregon probably moves up next week. Florida State, you got to be impressed with what they did.
Yeah.
They go down to the swamp, and Tennessee can do it. They have not been able to win down decades, and it's a hard place to play. Now I know Florida didn't have their starting quarterback, but I thought that kid he wasn't bad. It was kind of
hit on the Florida State.
Yeah, it was kind of,
my goodness.
Yeah, it was kind of above his head. But then the Florida State kid comes in. He'd been there for 4 years, and he finally gets to start one. I thought he played well. Kept those guys in it. Defensively, they're really good, and they went into a hostile environment. So I was really impressed with Florida State. Now I don't know if they can keep that up. It'll be interesting to see how they play against Louisville in the ACC championship game. So we'll have to see. Oregon, we've already talked about Oregon. I think they're really good. I think they may be playing the best ball in the country right now offensively. Man, they can score. Bo Nix is doing his thing. So he's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner, and I think they're really good. Texas, you could have flopped Texas and Ohio State. It really doesn't matter at this point. But Texas had a huge win, scored a lot of points the other day against TCU. Ohio State, I just don't know if they can get it done with the quarterback that they got. And I don't think they're going to be – I think they're out of it now, George. I really do, out of the talks. They'll go to a bowl game, but they don't have a shot. Alabama probably kept their season alive, which is a slim chance. But if they beat Georgia, I don't know where you put them. Where do you put them?
Well, don't we think the committee privately is like, dear God, do not force us to figure out whether Texas, who beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, gets in over an Alabama that beats the number one team in the country.
Yeah, Kelly, I have no clue. Because if you think about it, okay, say Alabama beats Georgia. Does that bump Georgia all the way out? Or do they find a way to get both Georgia and Alabama in there? Because of all the other teams that are fighting for those top 4 spots, I think there's only one team. If Alabama beats Georgia, Bama's probably in, and Georgia most likely is out. But I can also see a scenario where both SEC schools are out because this year is so different. You've got Texas, you've still got Ohio State, you've still got Oregon, you've got Florida State. This is unlike any other year. And so I don't know, Kel. There's still some. There's not a definitive answer.
Here's the only argument that I have. Out of all those 8 teams, there's only one team that's not making the conference championship game, and that's Ohio State. Yes. So I don't think Ohio State. I think Ohio State's out.
But Kelly, that the way that conference is set up, you could argue Michigan, Ohio State is the defense.
Y'all have kind of gone out on me again. I'm not sure. I just think Ohio State's going to be out, guys. I really do. I think they're out. They're not in a conference championship game, so I really think they're out.
Yeah. So you've got Georgia against Alabama. Who knows who wins that?
Yeah.
Michigan against Iowa. Who doesn't know who's going to win that?
Yeah.
Oregon, Washington. I personally think Oregon's going to win, and I think they're going to win it in double digits. But, who knows for sure? And then here's the wild card to me. Jeff Brom's team kind of got embarrassed by Kentucky.
Yeah.
Saturday. Do they show up in a game where Florida State doesn't have the offensive weapons that they normally do and make life absolutely miserable for them? Because Louisville can.
Yeah, I just think top to bottom, though, with the roster, George, I think that Florida State's a better football team than Louisville is. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to matter at the quarterback spot. I really don't. So I think Florida State's just a much more impressive team than Louisville, but we'll have to see because we've talked about Jeff Brom. Really good coach, did a lot of things good at Purdue, came back home, got these guys in his first year to the conference championship. So you never know what's going to happen in these games. I think Florida State wins that one, but I just think Ohio State's out of it. To me, I think they're gone.
We'll run through studs and duds really quick here. My first stud is Kentucky. What a hell of a win to go to Louisville. Louisville thinks they're better. Everything on paper suggests they are. And Kentucky's front four defensively took over in the second half and made life miserable. Great win.
Yeah.
That's one that says it does mean more.
Well, and I think it also says Louisville probably doesn't go 10-2 in the SEC. Right. I mean, they did finish 10-2.
Right.
They're playing in the ACC title. They're probably more of a 6-6, 7-5 team in the SEC. Kentucky. Now, credit, nothing against Kentucky, but they went in there and handled them. So I think that tells you just how good still the middle of that SEC is.
I put number 2 as Texas. Holy cow. They hung a big
destruction.
57 spot on Texas Tech.
I thought Tech would have put up a better fight. I was stunned to see how they just got planted.
They could have been a dud.
Definitely.
Third is Alabama. I mean, you can say what you want. If you want to say it's all luck, that's your business. Somewhere in here, there's a belief at Alabama that there is not at most other schools in the country.
Mm-hmm.
That program believes.
Yeah, and in that game, Kelly, I want to get your take on this. Auburn muffs the punt, right? And I've heard from a lot of people, as long as they just don't muff the punt, right? They muff that punt, that gave the game away. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. Say they recover it, they get pinned deep inside their 5 or 10 or even the 15. Kelly, you saw them. They got pressure on Thorne. He threw a pick. So I don't know. I don't know that Alabama would have found a way sort of no matter what happens. I know they muffed the punt there, but Auburn still would have been back deep in their own territory, pinned deep. And that's not the best scenario for them, especially with Alabama's front.
Ifs were buts, man. We never know. George is right. Alabama has this sense of, hey, it doesn't matter what happens at the end. We're going to win the football game.
Yeah.
And that happened. And they still had to go score. And they scored on something miraculous, but still had to go score. And it's kind of amazing that they've lost one game. He's 11-1 with that team, because people don't think of that team as being the normal Alabama football team, but yet he wins 11 games being in the Southeastern Conference. Pretty impressive.
It really is. I went Oregon as my fourth stud. If anybody saw them dismantle Oregon State, that's a good Oregon State they just beat the hell out of.
Yeah.
On to the duds. Arkansas's players were so thrilled that Sam Pittman is staying that they went out and laid a colossal egg on national TV against Missouri, 48-7. Nice. Very nice.
Against what should be your rival. I mean, they really showed up for that.
Yeah, 48-7. And then kudos to Michigan State. You held Penn State to 42, and you did not score zippo.
42-0.
Boy, since Mel Tucker's situation, that program went.
I don't think we got.
They got him a new coach, though. They
did.
Jonathan Smith from Oregon State.
Might be a good hire.
Yeah,
good hire.
I don't think we got many crowd shots, by the way, at Ford Field.
No, we didn't. Third dud, UCLA. Got clobbered by Cal.
That
Really?
Was late. The last Pac-12 game ever.
Pitiful.
As we know it, at least.
Yeah. And then Virginia. The time that they have their best shot to beat Virginia Tech. They were like a 2.5-point dog. So Vegas thought it would go right to the wire. What was the final, like 55?
45 to 17, something, or 54. Yeah.
Pitiful.
Yeah.
Pitiful. Okay. I see Terry ready and raring to go. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that absolutely can happen. So dial her up at 615-969-4350. Terry.
How are you, George?
Good. Tell me, first of all, how they came out of it injury-wise.
Well, Mike Vrabel didn't go into a whole lot of detail injury-wise. He did say they had a few guys that were getting treatment and banged up and that sort of thing. But as far as during the game, there weren't any Titans that were really, listed as questionable or out or anything like that. So it's going to be a little bit before we get to know which guys were banged up a little bit from this game and who will be available on Wednesday to practice. The interesting thing is, he was asked about Traylon Burks, and Traylon Burks apparently remains in the concussion protocol, which is certainly not good news for him and for this team as they try to, get him healthy enough to maybe finish the season.
So, Terry, I don't know what to think off what I saw yesterday. It felt to me like they found a team that's worse than them, and that's about all I came out with.
Yeah, they really struggled, it seemed like, especially in the second half. And I understand some of that because I think with a 17-3 halftime lead, I think, without really saying as much, I think Mike Vrabel maybe made a conscious decision to let the air out of the ball a little bit and not put it in harm's way and not, take a chance on letting Carolina get back in the game. I think he probably knew that his defense was capable of holding that lead. So he kind of, squelched the offense for the rest of the day, apparently.
Terry, and I don't know who wrote the story. There is a story that has gotten out that Vrabel and Rand Carthon are not necessarily seeing eye to eye. Do you buy that at all?
Well, I don't have anything to base it on. So, I mean, it's from a guy who has a decent reputation, a guy named Greg Bedard, but it's out of Boston. I don't know that I buy it at all. I mean, Rand Carthon might have been more Amy Adams Strunk's choice to be the GM than Mike Vrabel's choice, but I don't have anything to base on to saying that, they don't get along or they don't see eye to eye. I mean, Carthon hasn't traded off A.J. Brown or done anything like that yet, so we shall see going forward. I don't put a whole lot of stock in it just yet.
Okay. You may have one more thing you want to leave me with. If you do, feel free.
All right. Yeah, yesterday was the first start for Jalen Duncan at left tackle. And, yeah, it's a low bar playing the Carolina Panthers and, have only one win on the season. Fired the coach today and Frank Reich. But I thought Jalen Duncan acquitted himself pretty well for a sixth-round pick going over and playing left tackle in his first NFL start. They left him out in one-on-one situations, a lot of times pass blocking, and he didn't do bad. So I think it's maybe a plus for them. We'll see what it looks like as he goes to his second start Sunday against the Colts.
Have you been practicing your bowling?
I have not. I'll probably come out there and roll a few tonight, and we'll see how it goes just off the cuff.
Look forward to seeing you, Terry, as always.
All right. Sounds good, George. Thanks.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lady. And through the folks at USA Mortgage, that is absolutely possible. Dial her up, 615-969-4350.
Are we ready for Bet of the Day? Little review of the weekend.
Yeah, let's see how we did.
Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. Another so-so weekend. Not nothing to celebrate, I don't think. But you did get 3 wins, 3 losses.
How many losses?
3 losses.
Okay.
I don't think you're celebrating 500, are you?
No. I mean, look, we're not into moral victories, but let's not act like I went 0-6.
Well, I mean, let's
clean up the attitude.
This is average.
Average. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair for someone who has established a standard of excellence.
Standard of excellence.
Right, Kelly?
Yeah, I want to throw up in my mouth when you say standard of excellence. That's awful.
Yeah. Great. Nice attitude. I'm going to keep you away from those kids.
Please do. I don't get them screaming in my ear.
Oh, they'll be making some noise. I don't get why. I don't get why the Vikings are only a 3-point favorite. Does Vegas know something I don't? This should have been Minnesota 6.5.
Well, I think it's about Josh Dobbs, and
it is about Josh Dobbs.
He
hasn't been there long enough.
Yeah, I mean, if this was Kirk Cousins, they're probably at least a touchdown favorite, maybe more. But Dobbs just isn't. He hasn't put multiple. He's shown some bright spots, but I don't know that he gives Vegas enough confidence that they should be more than a field goal favorite.
Gives me enough confidence.
Well, it is the Bears. I see what you're saying. The Bears are so bad. I don't know. I don't know why this isn't at least a little bit more. But
I was surprised at this number. I'm taking the Vikings. They're at home. The big guy in the cannon will come out and give it a ooh. Kelly, you've been around that.
Do it again, George. Let me hear it again. Skull Vikings, baby. Skull Vikings.
By the way, that game will be on here at the bowling alley so that I can, celebrate this win.
So that you can watch it.
Oh, I don't think I'm the only one that'll want to watch it. Anyway, we're done.
We're done.
We are done. Kelly, try to behave.
I'll try to behave. I'll try to be safe on my way there. I mean, I see what you did with you've announced that there's going to be a new opening because you were frightened that I wasn't going to show up.
It never even crossed my mind.
Oh, it didn't?
No.
Well, what if you want me just to stay at home tonight and that will cross your mind?
Well, wow. We'll have this discussion off air.
Oh, man.
Kelly, let me know later.
Let the trash talk continue.
Let me know if you need help getting here.
No, I don't need help. Billy, thanks. I've been there before, Francis, but thank you.
Okay.
That's right. It's the 6 o'clock, so don't show up at 8:30.
I'm not going to show up at 8:30 because normally by 8:30 I'm winding down for bed, Hoss.
Gotcha. Wow.
8:30?
Good Lord.
All right, Watson.
Wow.
I'm not scared to go to bed at 8:30. That's for sure. I need beauty sleep. Have you seen my skin there, Billy?
We need to get him back home early tonight. Get his beauty sleep.
Good Lord, get him a respirator. We're out of here. See you tomorrow and enjoy the bowling. We are